All right, we're back. Episode 29, TJ Martino podcast. We're finally here. I haven't done one in a little bit, so I'm happy to be back. And I got a good old friend of mine, Max Hensler, in the building. How you doing?
Good. Glad to be on.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming. You've been another good pal of mine that's been trying to get on and been really persistent about it. So yeah, love to have you on. Love to have you here. And you're going to be a recurring guest here over these next couple of months, I know for sure.
Yeah, finally gotten in town together and schedules worked out for the first time in months.
Right.
Seems like
it's about time. I know you've been living in Columbia, right?
Yeah, down in good old South Carolina, finishing up the last year of school.
Yeah. I mean, so you got one more year, fifth year?
Yeah. It's technically, I'm there for my fifth year, but I've only been taking classes for 4.
Yeah, so 4 like credits worth of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did a co-op, so that pushed graduation back a year while I worked.
And you worked in Charlotte, right?
Yeah.
Dude, that's one of my target cities.
Yeah, it's a great city.
Tell me about it.
It's good. It's obviously a bit better for me just since I know a ton of people that live there. Everyone who graduates from South Carolina, that's the closest large city, so a lot of people end up going there, especially with South Carolina's business school. Like,
yeah,
everyone either does finance or some sort of businessy degree, and then it's quick and easy to get a job up for a bank or somewhere in finance in Charlotte.
They have a lot of they have a lot of tech companies in Charlotte, I feel like too. I heard that.
A lot of banking, but yeah, it's definitely there's a bit of a technology hub there. Not as big as some other cities on the East Coast or out west, but yeah, definitely a decent tech culture.
Yeah. And you and I have always been in the tech culture.
Yeah.
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 What would you say is your favorite like brand?
What do you mean brand?
Like technology brand. Yeah, consumer electronics. Take this off. It's hot in here.
The brand I use the most is Google. I think that they just make the most convenient products, as in stuff that I use every day. I mean, obviously, Google search might be the greatest invention of all time.
Yeah.
But aside from that, I use Google Calendar and Google. Trying to think of the other, like Google Notes app, just so that everything's all integrated together. So when I do one thing, my Gmail automatically sees that I made a note about some class, and then it just all integrates together, and it can link up to my calendar. So just the convenience of that. The easy one would have been Apple, but I don't even really use that many Apple products, so I can't say Apple.
Apple would be mine. I love Apple. I stay on Apple, and look, I know that like all these big tech companies right now are doing what they're doing, but I personally love the convenience of it all. I love the integration of having all the same products, like the Apple Watch and the Apple computers and the whole ecosystem. Like I like how a lot of these companies are doing that. Like,
say what you want about big tech, but it does make your life very convenient, and breaking these companies apart isn't going to solve all the problems, and it'll make your life a bit more inconvenient than it otherwise might have been.
But it'll also open a way for more competition.
Oh,
in a
yeah,
sense, because you're already seeing it kind of emerge in the social media sphere. As Twitter and Facebook are kind of losing market share because you got all these different third-party platforms coming in and challenging them. Like Parler, I think, is like one of the top.
I saw a
right
news story on Parler a few days ago.
I think it's an interesting I have a Parler account. Follow me on there. I just I want to be on as many platforms as possible.
So what's the difference between Parler and Twitter? Because isn't it mostly a Twitter?
So Twitter right now has been doing a lot of they've been doing a lot of censorship. People have been complaining.
Yeah.
They've been kicking a lot of accounts off, especially with like all the drama with the elections and all of that. So they've been definitely heavily involved in that. And I think a lot of people are fleeing Twitter. And personally, like Twitter's just kind of losing its luster to me as well, personally. Like, and I'm not saying I love Parler either. Parler has its problems. The servers on it aren't as, they're not as powerful and performance, heavy as Twitter.
It's a new app, so
it's new,
it's
so it's got some work to be done. But I mean, Parler, what's the difference? I mean, they're kind of the same thing, but Parler doesn't really have a lot of the restrictions, when it comes to speech on Parler. Parler kind of like,
So they kinda just let
on
it all
Twitter.
go.
So right. So Parler is like kind of, they pride themselves on being like the free speech platform for social media. And Twitter is just, you know, they try to do that too, but they're not really.
So
living up to
Parler,
those
no matter
standards.
what you say, they're not going to remove any content.
I mean, up to a
I mean,
certain
obviously,
point.
yeah,
I mean,
I
if
think
you're
it's-
like, you know, planning to do something violent or like, you know, bullying somebody, or, you know, there's a certain line, I imagine. But I feel like they're a lot more relaxed on the monitoring than Twitter is. Twitter is just like, you know, they're all up in your stuff. And
Yeah.
I've been reading stuff about people saying that like they can't even send links through DMs. Like they're blocking links through DMs. So
Yeah, and that's tough. Like if you look at what Mark Zuckerberg's been saying is these tech companies got put in a tough spot with, they don't want to be the arbiters of truth, but they're kind of being forced by lawmakers to do so.
right.
Because they're threatening to regulate them more, and they're saying this is such a complicated issue that it's okay if you regulate us, but they're telling him, he's like, you have to, you know, shut down all this fake news. But he's saying like, I don't.
It's kind of, you know, people are definitely starting to flock to other social media platforms, and depending on what happens with these elections, we could see a lot of, you know, different things happen, I guess, when it comes to how these social media platforms are going to move forward. But yeah, it should be interesting. It's going to be fun.
It'll be interesting to look at that those Georgia Senate elections, because that'll change.
Yeah.
If the Democrats can get the Senate, they can really.
Yeah, they'll start doing, you know, their own agendas, and they'll have
they're going to be able to go after their agenda light speed.
Right. So but also if Trump gets in, he's gonna put the hammer down on a lot of these social media companies. So it's like, who really knows what's gonna happen? But there's a lot of different scenarios. But one thing that I am frustrated with Twitter about is that they added stories to their platform.
Does Twitter, because I don't know if I'm the best guest to be talking about social media, considering I don't have a single social media.
I think that makes it kind of interesting, because
a little bit.
You know, you're kind of disconnected from it, so you're kind of looking at it from the outside in.
Yeah, I didn't know Twitter recently
they
got
just
stories.
implemented stories, and they work just exactly like they call them fleets. I'm pretty sure, instead
just like
of tweet.
Snapchat and Instagram,
Yeah,
and
it just shows that they're all like becoming uniform in a way.
yeah,
like,
YouTube has stories too. That's the only.
Yeah,
I guess it's YouTube's a little bit different than the rest of the social media platforms. That's the one that I do use, but I'd use that for, you know, different forms of entertainment rather than Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, whatever.
Yeah, I'm more of a YouTube guy
But
myself.
even
YouTube is my favorite.
Even YouTube has stories. I don't think I've ever clicked on one just because I don't know what I'd rather. I'm here on YouTube to watch, you know, a few minute long video, not 10 seconds of whatever.
Right.
And I don't care about these creators' personal lives enough to see. I guess it's probably
what
a
kind
lot
of dog they have.
Exactly. So I like them for their content and not so much what is going on in their lives. Not much of a vlog guy.
No. Yeah, me neither. I mean, maybe. Never say never. Because I'm open to like all video creation. I like all of it, but some vlogs I like. I like when people go to like places that I've never been. You know, like I like vacation vlogs, except for those people who are very corny and very like, I don't know. Like they're always like, you know, very into their own lives, you know, like in a way. Everything, like they try to make their lives like a production.
I just can't get behind looking at someone who I don't know and don't have like a personal connection to just watch their life and see what. That's part of the reason I left a lot of these social like Instagram and Snapchat was I'd see 200 stories a day, and 190 of those people I just didn't really care for that much anymore, because, you know, I've gone off to college. I haven't talked to some of these people in 4 or 5 years.
Right.
Even some of the people that like are down at school who I wouldn't even necessarily say good friends with, but more of acquaintance. It's just I couldn't even keep up with it, and I didn't necessarily care what they were doing on any particular day. Plus, I think a lot of times, especially with stories and Instagram posts, people are trying to make their lives look a lot more
like I said, it's all about presentation.
Yeah, a lot more interesting than it really is. And I I don't care what you're doing on a Saturday.
Yeah.
So,
and people are very good at making boring stuff look very entertaining. Like that's the thing. Like that's the thing that Instagram and like, you know, Snapchat and all the stories and like that, like you're saying, like it's a way for people to kind of make their lives into a production in a sense. It's like, and there's so many outlets with the filters and like all the different like little games and stuff you can play. And especially with the Instagram, like they have that whole like new filter deal. So it's like you can, you know, people are doing like the little, I remember there was like the popular one where it's like two people are together and they do the thing where they tilt their head to the direction and they answer the question and it goes like that. And that's like, you know, people do that kind of stuff. And I don't know. I personally, as you can tell, I watch way too much of it. I watch way too much of that nonsense. Yeah. But I do need to lead off.
And it's time consuming too. You'd spend so many hours, and it's just stuff that I'm not going to remember. Like I'd see someone.
Almost spilled that coffee. Trying to plug my laptop in.
But I'd be watching people for hours and see them posting stuff that I'm going to forget about in 20 minutes. So I just figured, why am I spending my time doing this?
Right.
And I would also do the same stuff. I'd always be posting, trying to make my life look more exciting. Like every time I'd post something, like I'm going to try and make this look the most exciting.
Yeah, and you're taking like multiple takes of like some views somewhere.
And I'm trying to, and then I'm like looking at likes and who like, and it's like everyone, I would see people that I haven't talked to in 5 years like my picture. Like, how do you like that? There's no way that you actually enjoyed that. I think people just scroll down and click. They like every single picture they pass.
And most of the people, like, I think most of the people that like they're just clicking through it. Like, it's like, it's not even like they're like mindless. Looking at it and paying attention to it. It's like, do. Like, that's me. I'm usually like, in most of the polls that people put up, I just like click through it. Just like I answer it, even if I don't even know what the question is. Yes or no. Yes or no.
Just want to see what it says.
But then when I post a poll, I expect everybody's giving it like the most undivided attention ever. And usually it's just like, no one's even, you know, it's almost for your own. It's for your own entertainment in a way. And that's the thing. Like, I guess post for yourself. Like, don't post for other people. Yeah. That's, I guess, my advice. And
that was the problem, was I was posting for other people and not myself.
Yeah.
And I'd be posting for 200 people instead of the 15 people that I actually care about seeing this. And I just figured, you know what? If I want to show you this picture, I'll just text it to you.
Right.
I don't need to throw this on Instagram.
Yeah. And the thing about it is just like, like you said, it's very time consuming crap for the most part.
You know what might be the fakest, I don't even know if you can necessarily call it social media, but the fakest social media would be, I think, in my opinion, is LinkedIn. Because I'll see people on LinkedIn who I went to college with. I'm like, oh, so happy to participate in this great event put on by this work, or put on by my employer. And I'm looking at this guy and like, I saw you doing drugs this weekend. Like, when did you become this super professional, career-minded person? And like, I saw you just
wasted
incapacitated
at a bar.
this weekend. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, the facade that people put on for LinkedIn is, I think, blows everything even out of the water. Anything on Instagram or Twitter. It's unbelievable.
It is because like everybody is like an entrepreneur, like exactly. And they're like all the posts are like so like heavily edited and doctored, but like that's the thing though, like you gotta walk the walk if you can, But yeah, I agree with you. It'd be so funny like to compare, like, when people used to have like the fake Instagram accounts and fake like Snapchat accounts that they would have, and they would just post like, or fake burner Twitter accounts, like burner accounts. Burners, and basically they just post like, embarrassing photos and stuff. I love to line up people's fake fake Instagram accounts with their LinkedIn accounts and have them on like a side-by-side screen together and just be like, okay, here you go. Here's, exhibit number 1. She's, going out on the weekends and, and then here, it'd be funny.
The most professionally written outlook at what they did last week.
Created a cure for tuberculosis.
Yeah.
Wait, I think there already is a cure for tuberculosis.
I think they got tuberculosis pretty much figured out too.
Yeah, for COVID.
Yeah.
There we go. Actually, I think we got that one figured out too.
I think we're just about there. Hopefully those vaccines will be coming out here in the next month or so.
Yeah, I mean, take it as you will. I mean, for those of you that want it, take it. I mean, personally though, I'm fine without it.
Are you not going to get the vaccine?
No. I don't unless I need it. Like, because like if it gets to the point where they're like, you can't do anything without a vaccine, then I'll get the vaccine. But like, you know,
sure,
I don't need a vaccine personally for COVID-19. You know, like personally, this is me.
Have you had it yet?
I have not. No.
Okay.
But if I do get it, I'm sure I'll be fine. Personally, this is me. This is me speaking personally. Now, I'm not speaking on behalf of everybody because you know.
Well, that's part of the thing is. For vaccines to be the most effective, it works best when the entire population has taken it. Because we've eradicated, I think it's like the measles or something like that.
Yeah.
And then people stopped vaccinating their children for measles, or I think that's the disease. But people stopped doing it, and then it ended up spring. It's like there's little pockets of it around the world because people just stopped getting measles vaccinations, and now it's an issue.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not anti-vax. I'm not saying that. Like, I get vaccines, like, but it's just like I don't know. Is it really necessary for COVID? Personally, I mean, maybe. I mean, I'm not against it. That's what I'm saying. And if it gets to the point where like it gets really bad and more and more people are like dying, the death rate just increases to the point where it's like, you know, life or death.
You're putting your life on the line
right.
by not getting it.
Because like. Being real, you know, looking at the numbers statistically, like not that many people are dying from COVID compared to where it was projected to be. I'm not saying not a lot of people have died because that's wrong. But I'm saying it was supposed to be a lot worse.
Yeah.
So
I kind of stopped following the numbers after a while.
Exactly. And a lot of people did, like, because it was just like, you know. A lot of people, like everybody, a lot of people that I knew were just getting over it. You know, that's anecdotal, obviously, but I mean, 250,000, that's a lot of people. Don't get me wrong; it should be zero. But honestly, for a virus that a lot of people thought was going to wipe out large chunks of this population, I mean, I think we as the human race dodged a bullet. I said this actually back in like April or May. I don't even know if I said it on here, but I said it in a conversation. And I was like, you know what? I think we dodged a bullet as a human race. You know, like it could have been a zombie outbreak. I mean, like think about it. We could have been zombies. Like that. You know, that's not that far off. It's a virus. You know, like 28 days later.
It definitely could have been worse, just because at the beginning it was, especially in the hot spots, it was an issue of capacity or hospital capacity. Mm-hmm. And since not a ton of people, it wasn't spreading as fast as it nearly would have if there were no preventative measures put in place. So it freed up the hospitals a lot. Yeah. But now it's starting to become an issue because cases are rising extremely quickly right now. So
yeah, I mean, this is the cool weather though.
Yeah.
And I mean, like
people are inside, and I think people are fatigued by coronavirus.
They're sick of the lockdowns. I think the lockdowns, personally, this is my opinion, I think the lockdowns have had a worse effect than the actual virus itself. Just from a standpoint of just, you know, economic, lifestyle. A lot of people are being forced to like stay in their homes. Like, you know, suicide rates have gone up. Like it's been kind of hard on people. But like, look, I mean, it made sense at the time.
They'll be studying coronavirus and the preventative measures that were taken for a very long time to look at the benefits of everything that happened. Or everything that was put in place.
And hopefully it'll be another 100 years before we get another one.
Yeah, my biggest worry is that these pandemics are going to become more and more frequent when they don't need to be.
Right.
I get that this one is bad, but in a few years, if we have another disease, is it going to be
COVID-21, COVID-22?
Is it going to be a thing where people are walking around with masks all the time? I get that's a thing in some Asian countries, not so much in America, but is that going to become a thing?
How come we never were wearing masks before? Like, how come that, like, for flu seasons we weren't wearing masks? Like, how come this hasn't been a practice that we've been
I just
doing
think
before?
Since the flu and other diseases aren't really that big of an issue, typically they're not as big of an issue as coronavirus.
And I guess because this is more foreign, you know, it's a novel, as they're calling it. You know, it's new.
The novel coronavirus.
Yeah. So I guess that makes sense, but. Yeah, I don't know.
Definitely a complicated issue.
Yeah, there's definitely a complicated issue. And I think the problem with it is that people aren't understanding that there's an argument for both sides. It's always just like, wear a mask, no negotiations. And it's like,
I mean, I think wearing a mask is pretty easy to do, and there really shouldn't be much of a negotiation.
It's not that taxing. It really isn't.
No, exactly. There shouldn't be a negotiation about just having to wear a mask when you go and go into the gas station to get a coffee or something like that, or walking to your table at a restaurant. It's not a big deal. You know, like when I'm on campus for class, everyone just wears a mask. It's not a big deal.
Even during class? Yeah. Well, obviously. That's a stupid question. No, you take it off. Well, I mean, that is kind of the case when you go out to dinner. You know, you go to the table and take it off. Like,
Well, the thing is, you're going to be around those people regardless. So I think it's more to protect the employees rather than me giving it to you. I mean, obviously, we're sitting in this room together. So it's like I've already had it. So I'm not really in a few months ago, so I'm not really too worried about getting it again. But
how bad was it?
I've definitely been sicker out of all of my friends, because just me and my roommates and a few of my friends down at school, we all got it at the same time. Out of all of us, I was definitely the sickest. But had it not been coronavirus, I would have gone about my day and gone to class and whatnot. But had to quarantine for 12 or 14 days.
Yeah, so you think you still could have... So how long did you feel symptoms for?
Probably about 5 days, but it wasn't...
Yeah, it was just like, it got better and better.
I was sitting in my room catching up on homework, considering that was basically the only thing I could do. So I definitely got ahead in school that week.
And most people don't when they're sick. Yeah, so that's good on you. So
I wasn't just laying in bed. It's not like I was deathly ill. I could sit at my desk and go downstairs, and I still had an appetite, and if it just wasn't for the fact that...
Did you lose your taste, your sense of taste or smell?
But, my two of my friends did. So
really, yeah, it's weird. It's a weird thing, because like it's affecting people in different ways, and like that's why I guess it kind of makes sense, like in a sense that they took a lot of precautions, especially at first. I mean, the first 4 or 5 months it made a lot of sense. Yeah, but I'm like I was saying, like it's like I've heard like people are getting like brain issues, and like they have like animals catching it. Like, wasn't there a tiger that caught coronavirus, and like a cat? Like, there was a tiger at like a zoo somewhere that caught it. Yeah, and like a cat.
Because I think cats can get it, but dogs can't.
Yeah,
which I'm fine with as a dog person.
Yeah, the cat's not so lucky that they can get the COVID.
Yeah, but I'll be getting a vaccine, even though I've already had it, just because it's easy. It's so easy. Like, it's just, it takes 20 minutes to go to a Walgreens and get a vaccine.
Right, if it's available,
wherever you need to go.
I get the flu vaccine, so I mean, I guess why not get the COVID vaccine?
And next time I'm at the doctor, I'll probably get the flu vaccine too if they offer it to me. And it's easy.
I went to Target, and they give you like a gift card for getting the flu vaccine.
Really?
Yeah, they give you like a $5 gift card.
Well, good for them.
So go there for your vaccine. Target, hit me up. Wow, let's talk about we were talking before the show, and we wanted to talk about our boy
Joe Burrow.
Pour one out for our boy Joe Burrow.
And the Cincinnati Bengals.
And the Cincinnati Bengals season, which is officially over today. Not officially.
Not that it was going well in the first place, but it's watching the offense come out on the field after he did whatever he did to his knee was painful to watch.
Yeah, a lot of pain today. Yeah. A lot of pain today. The football gods were not good to me today. And my Eagles got the crap kicked out of them too by the Browns and Carson.
Yeah, what do you think the Bengals do from here? What do you think they do for the rest of the season?
And
have they said what his injury officially was?
Yeah, he tore his ACL.
He tore it.
Yeah, I mean, the clip was. I watched the clip. When it happened on Twitter, someone like zoomed in on the actual because when it happened, I didn't notice it at first because it was on the left corner of the screen, so you couldn't really see it when it happened because he was throwing the ball downfield. But when someone zoomed in on it and I saw it, and I was like, done. Yeah. Done.
I'm just looking at him after the play. You could tell that it was a serious issue. He wasn't coming back into the game, and now he's not coming back for at least the rest of the season.
No, yeah, he's done. He already tweeted. He said, "See you next year." I mean, it's bad. But I hate to say this, but I'm not that surprised, honestly, just because of how horrendous that offensive line was this year.
As a Bengals fan, and yes, you're right. The the offensive line has been atrocious to watch the entire season. The fact that he got beat up as much as he did is not surprising that he ended up tearing an ACL.
No, yeah.
But being a Cincinnati Bengals fan, I expect nothing less than
nothing less than disappointment and shame.
Exactly. Our new star quarterback coming in, so much hope and hype, and tears his ACL week 9 or whatever week it is.
Ugh, yeah, it's. I feel sorry for him, man, because he's an amazing player.
Yeah, he was looking good this season, and I wanted to see him to develop, for a few years, and then hopefully in 2 or 3 years we'd have a better line and a team that could contend for some playoff wins. But
yeah, it looks
like we're a few years out from that again.
We couldn't even carry him to the end of the season.
No,
not enough. And it was like totally the offensive line's fault that he got injured too. I mean, like there was like 3 or 4 guys in the backfield every single play.
Yeah, I mean,
it's inexcusable.
You can't blame them for having his ACL tear, but you can blame them for him constantly getting sacked and knocked down.
Right.
Eventually, the numbers are just going to build to the point where you're going to get hurt. So, yeah, poor to see that.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, but in the Eagles, as for them, my 2 cents on it, because I don't know how much longer I'm going to be talking about the NFL on here.
Yeah,
my 2 teams are just they're dead.
Yeah,
they're dead and gone, as my boy Justin Timberlake says. They are dead and gone because, man, it's hard out here.
Yeah.
Two teams that they tied. They are equally terrible. That's all I'm going to say about it. They are equally disappointing, terrible.
That tie at the end of that overtime, they weren't even neither team was trying to win.
No, it was really just like because Zach Taylor ran the clock out, and then
they were they got the ball with 2 minutes left, and he's like, we're just gonna run it out. We don't even care about winning this game.
No,
we'll take our tie.
Yeah, because I mean, honestly,
as long as we don't lose,
is the tie better than the loss?
It's almost more disappointing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I thought this game today with the Browns was going to tie. I had a feeling, and it was heading in that direction until the safety came in. It was going to be a tie until the Eagles got a safety because they suck. Yeah, offensive line sucks. Wentz sucks. They need to fix some stuff there. But yeah, I want to talk about this story here. I got it pulled up on the screen. Well, I don't know if anybody can see this, but I'll share the article down in the description. But big news here in Cincinnati since you've moved back.
Yeah,
I want to talk about this. This guy here, PG Sittenfeld, he was running for mayor in Cincinnati.
Yeah,
and
he was on the city council.
Yes,
right?
And he was arrested for corruption charges. I got an article here from
bit of bribery.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about this. So.
This isn't the first time this year, isn't it?
There's been 2 other arrests. Okay, so it says here, it is now corruption times 3 in the halls of the Cincinnati government. PG Sittenfeld, one of the city's most popular and influential leaders with an ambition to be its next mayor, is up on a federal fraud, bribery, and attempted extortion charges. He is the 3rd member of city council to be indicted in the past year. So Cincinnati's been cleaning house on these politicians. It's crazy because you only really hear conspiracy theories about this kind of stuff going on the federal level, and the fact that this stuff is actually happening, first of all, and second of all, it's happening in Cincinnati, and that's why I felt compelled to talk about it, because it's a local issue,
especially a city like Cincinnati. If this was happening in New York City or LA or Chicago, then it wouldn't be. I'd expect that from these large cities, but when it's Cincinnati, Ohio,
it's not the most famous crime town.
Exactly. Although apparently,
apparently, it says word of the 36-year-old Sittenfeld's arrest at his East Walnut Hills home this morning sent shockwaves. This article was written on the 19th, which was a couple days ago, The mayor says it's a sad day. So basically what he was doing, I guess, according to 6-count indictment 2 years ago this month, At a downtown restaurant, Sittenfeld met with someone he thought was an investor and laid out his terms for approving a development project. Those terms, federal investigators said, added up to $20,000. After lunch at a private location, the investor, who was an undercover federal agent wearing a wire, wanted a veto-proof guarantee. Quoting Sittenfeld, I can sit here and say I can deliver the votes. So basically what he was doing here was he was meeting with this individual who he thought was an investor for, basically some sort of slush fund, project.
Yeah.
And it ends up being, an FBI agent undercover wearing a wire. And, now our old friend PG is he's going to the clink. Some good old fashioned white collar crime.
Yeah.
You don't really get it as laid out and as,
as easy as that.
But
does it do you have any other details on the other two cases that happened earlier this year?
Let's see if this article mentions it. Do you see anything? Red-handed quid pro quo.
Oh yeah, down Denard and Pastor.
Oh yeah. Wait, where?
Right where.
Oh yeah, here we go. Denard. So okay, you're not gonna deliver that. I mean, yeah. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, Denard, a Democrat, is awaiting a sentence on her federal corruption charges, and Pastor, Republican, indicted similarly 2 weeks ago. And that's the thing. Like, this is not this is not a Republican versus Democrat issue like everything seems to be nowadays. Like, this is something that's both sides of the aisle are doing this kind of behavior, and I think we're starting to figure out more and more that this is going on. I wouldn't be shocked in the next couple of months we see more and more of these kind of stories across the world, across the nation. But this is interesting. It's funny that it happened though in Cincinnati. That's a good point because it's like this is not
Well, if it's happening in Cincinnati, it makes you maybe a little scared of if it's happening in such a low level in small city. What's happening on the larger scale in these bigger cities and in the federal government.
Yeah, you can only imagine. And that's the thing, like I think we should at least entertain the election fraud stuff. And that's all I'm going to say about the elections because I haven't really talked about it. But, I think we should at least entertain it. Like, I'm not saying I believe in it or don't because I don't know. But I think we should at least, entertain some sort of, certification process. But,
I mean, I haven't really entertained that idea much. I think the election is pretty definitive and who the American people decided, and it's pretty cut and dry. However, I think it is important for our elections to be, certified.
Right, and secured. And, if it ends up being whatever way it is,
if there was a bunch of voter fraud, I would like to know about it, but I just haven't seen any evidence to point that
not yet.
There was, or if there was, it was in such a small scale that it didn't.
Yeah, it didn't affect anything. Matter. So, exactly. I agree with you. It may just be cut in stone, but we'll have to see what happens. I mean, they're going to do all these investigations and lawsuits, and if it all ends up settled, we'll see where the dust settles.
Yep.
But it's definitely interesting. Speaking of politics, let's talk about one of the great world leaders of our time, the Pope. So the Pope, Pope Francis. Let me see if I can pull up this article from The Hill. The Hill wrote a good article about this, about Pope Francis basically following Instagram girls. And we should have talked about this when we were talking about the Instagram conversation. But let me see. I'm trying to pull up the article here because this out of all of the geopolitical storylines going on right now, and there's a lot of them. This is one that I think is here's the article. Vatican, Instagram investigating Pope's account liking lingerie model posts. This is the kind of news I like. So it says the Vatican is called on Instagram to assist in an investigation after Pope Francis' official account liked an image of a Brazilian model wearing lingerie. And this is the thing. Pope Francis is from Brazil.
He's Argentinian.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, but South America.
Oh, close enough. Hey. I was one country over.
Yeah.
And I should know that. I took Spanish, but we didn't learn about the Pope. Not in college, at least.
Well,
we did in high school.
They don't speak Spanish in Brazil.
No, they speak Portuguese.
Yes.
Yeah, but I learned about Argentina, I'm saying. But yeah, Pope Francis
Can I see a picture of the model?
Yeah, let's see. Who is this? Who's the girl? Natalia Garaboto. Okay, I'm gonna Google search her here. Get some images. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, this girl. Yeah, she's got some curves.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Look at this. I love the picture here. So you got it's a split picture with this model, Natalina, or no, it is Natalia. I'm sorry, Natalia. And then you got the Pope Francis there. He's like blessing something, but he looks like he's very embarrassed.
He's hot and bothered.
Yeah. So so this kind of leads my question. Do you think this actually, do you think it was actually the Pope, or do you think someone hacked his account?
I assume the Pope does not run his own Instagram account.
Someone just forgot to log
out. One being that the man's like 90 years old, so I can't see him being a very savvy Instagram user. Not saying that there are no savvy 90-year-old Instagram users, but he's also, I can imagine, a very busy man and doesn't have time to be, running his own Instagram.
Right.
I'm sure he's got a team of people that run his Instagram, because I'm sure he's probably got a few different Instagrams. I think for Twitter, he's got like a few for different languages. So if he tweets something out, then you can follow the German Pope account, or the English or the Spanish account. So no, I don't think. I think it was somebody else. I don't think it was probably a hack. It was probably just negligence.
Yeah.
On the count.
The social media. Someone in the social media team at the Vatican is getting a big firing coming up here. They're packing their bags right now.
I don't know if they thought they had logged out and were just on their own account,
just scrolling. You know what? My theory is it was the Pope.
All right.
And
please explain.
Well, actually, let me see if this article has anything that can explain that. This image, blah blah blah. An official was in touch. I think this was the Pope. Not actually, but I want it to be. It's wishful thinking.
That would be exciting.
Could you imagine?
Could you
imagine if the Pope had to come out and like publicly acknowledge the fact that he's been spending too much time on Instagram, as we were talking about? Maybe he should take our advice. Hey, Pope Francis, take our advice.
Get off the gram.
Get off Instagram. Stop chasing these thoughts, man. Stop chasing these thoughts. And it's so funny because it's hard now to see who likes,
Yeah, you gotta search for it. Now.
Someone was following that, and someone was following her, and just saw that and saw Pope Francis liked this
Pope
photo.
Francis and 400,000 other people liked this picture. What is the Pope doing?
Yeah, he's our holy leader.
He's supposed to be telling people to dress modestly. And,
that totally goes against his MO. Totally.
Yeah, it's a bad look for the Pope.
Yeah,
but it's a bad look for the Pope with the fact that it's not teaching Christian and Catholic values very well. But it's a good thing for the Pope, for the people, because I think everyone can get behind an Instagram model. So he's done a lot for the Catholic Church and making it more accessible to an extent. And I think this is just the next step, is the Pope liking Instagram models.
Yeah. It's opening the door.
Yeah.
Maybe priests, and maybe they might change the rule now, and priests can actually get married and stuff.
Well, that would probably solve a lot of issues that the Catholic Church has. However, I'm not an expert on the subject, so I'll probably stay away from that.
Yeah. Unnecessary horniness is all I'm going to say about that.
Yeah, exactly.
Flag.
I agree.
Flag on the play. 15-yard penalty. That's all I got to say. The Pope gets a fit. Even if this isn't the Pope, unnecessary horniness.
Absolutely.
15-yard flag. And we're not picking up the flag either.
No.
We're keeping it down. But, it's crazy world out there, man. It's 2020. That's how you know it's 2020, though, when the Pope is doing this kind of stuff. Doesn't this fit the whole narrative? And I was saying this on the last show, that 2020 is an underrated year.
I would argue that this is maybe the worst year of my life.
I've loved this year. It's been so fun.
I will say it's been filled with surprises.
Right.
Like,
that's the thing.
I remember when Ruth Bader Ginsburg died, and I was just like, this is the most 2020 thing to happen because it's going to create an absolute shit show.
I know.
With the
Supreme Court and
exactly,
the elections. Yeah.
And I knew right when that happened because I remember, I forget what justice it was, but when Obama was in his last year, they blocked the Senate Republicans.
Merrick Garland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or no. It was, I mean, I forget the justice that died, but the Senate Republicans blocked the approval process because they said a president in the last, year of his election or of his presidency shouldn't be approving or appointing Supreme Court justices. And the second she died, I'm like, Donald Trump's going to appoint someone, and the Senate Republicans are going to push her, or what ended up being right through, and they're going to be, and everyone's going to be like, well, look what you did in 2016. And they're just going to be like, we're good.
I mean, hey, the rules are the rules, though, and that's the thing. Like,
I do have to say, the rules are the rules, and they were constitutionally allowed to do so.
Yeah, they were playing hardball. That's called playing hardball.
Yeah, they went against precedent, but
yeah. I mean, hey, that's the thing, though. If you got that opportunity, you got that window, especially with, your back's probably, as you say now, I mean, definitely their backs are against the wall. So it's like, that was a nice little move by them. Now they got a little bit of a secret weapon. We'll see what happens with it all.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a strange year. And the timing of that was so weird, too. Like, they were able to squeeze that confirmation in like
so fast.
A month. Like, they busted that through. And
yeah. And the hearings for the confirmation weren't. They were absurd. They weren't as bad as the Kavanaugh ones because that was just
they put him through the blender,
that was a circus. But the one for Amy Coney Barrett, the Republicans weren't even asking her questions on her.
She was too qualified, dude. She was so good up there. Like, she didn't have the notes and stuff.
That was impressive. I mean, I don't know what notes she would have had in front of her.
Like, what notes do you really need?
If you're
taking a Q&A.
These senators have, just 20 minutes or however long they had to ask some questions. Yeah. She's not going to be like, well, give me 5 minutes to search these binders that I have to look back at my past record.
And it's so funny. All the questions they ask are so leading. Like, they're all like, you can tell like what agenda they're on just by the questions they're asking, like from both sides. Like, especially like, if I don't know if you watched any of those big tech hearings with like Zuckerberg and Jack Dorsey and all them.
I find the Senate and House, whatever committee it is that bring in the tech CEOs. Yeah. I find those the most entertaining things to watch.
They're so funny.
World
They're so funny
because you have some of the smartest people on earth with these CEOs and these congressmen, congresswomen, and senators who have very little knowledge on the subject of these companies' businesses, or for some of them, like private business in general, are lecturing these CEOs who are like clearly smarter than they are and more knowledgeable on these subjects. They're lecturing them and just sounding like idiots. As someone in tech, as a computer engineering major, I like to watch these and see what these CEOs are saying. Mm-hmm, and I'm just looking at.
I find it fascinating.
I'm looking at.
I majored in social media. Yeah. Well, not majoring, but communications, social media.
I look at these senators and congressmen and congresswomen, and I'm just like, you should not be the one up there talking to them because clearly you don't know what you're talking about.
They're elected. That's the thing that's crazy. Like, most people don't even like most people are so partisan they don't even like know who they're voting for half the time. They just see either a name they know or a party that they or they just vote with the party that.
Because I know on the Ohio ballots it says under their names Democrat, Republican.
Right.
So I'm sure a lot of people just see Republican or they see Democrat and they're quick to fill in that bubble and
and they don't they don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one thing is I will say when the election came around this time or in this year in 2020, my ballot was a little colorful on the different sides. I'd actually look at the candidates. I mean, I'd at least give them a 10-minute look at their website, see what their issues were, their agenda was, and then I'd make a decision based on that rather than just looking at one party or the other.
Right.
I think, a lot of people are like that. And as we've seen in 2020, it doesn't seem like it, but I'm sure a lot more people than you think are just normal, and they bat for both. They bat on both sides of the
and that's me
ball.
too. Like I consider myself kind of in the middle. Yeah, because it's like I'm more liberal, but I personally am a little bit more conservative when it comes to like economics. Mm-hmm. So, but me, I kind of flip flop. Like I have no allegiance to a party. I have allegiance to my personal logic and my beliefs, and I think everybody is entitled to that. That's why I never get emotional about talking about politics and that kind of stuff, because a lot of people do, and it's just like you can't even speak with people, because they get so into it and they start yelling and get in your face, and I'm like, okay, like I'm not going to participate in this kind of behavior. But for the most part, like I wish more people would be just inclined to actually have a discussion than like
hear from both sides,
right? And that's kind of me, like, because I'm on both sides of the table on a lot of issues, because I think both sides have their problems. And people have always been like, oh, we need more parties and more parties. And it's like, yeah, maybe. I'll entertain the idea if there's a third party that comes up that...
Well, the issue with more parties in America is the way that we vote. If we changed our voting system and it wasn't just winner takes all.
I mean, I think we're going to be doing that regardless of who ends up winning this election, because, you know.
But if you look at other countries, the way they vote is a lot different than what we get in America. In other countries, especially in Europe, you can rank your choices. So say there's 10 candidates for some position, you can rank as many as you'd like. So you could do 1 to 10, or you could do 1 to 3.
Kind of like the Oscars.
Yeah. So, and if your first candidate it gets eliminated, so it gets the least amount of votes, then they look at your second choice, and then your vote gets casted for that person. And if you look at the math behind it, it allows for smaller candidates and smaller parties to fill more seats and actually have more third parties. In some countries, you have like 5 or 6 different parties sitting on parliament or whatever their elected body is. Yeah,
it's hard to look in the crystal ball and say like what kind of parties are gonna form, but I think I think it could end up moving in that direction as more and more people like kind of open up to the idea of having like free thought, because not necessarily having an allegiance to some group, but I think it's kind of in our nature as like human beings to want to be a part of a community and a group of people that think like you do. And that's why it's hard sometimes to break out of that box, especially when you become emotionally attached to that group, like I said. And then if someone brings a viewpoint that's different, then it becomes a conflict of interest. And with that, some people can get emotional and they bring their emotions into it more than, the actual arguments. And that's where I think this kind of discourse can be tricky. But for the most part, I think as more and more people are starting to figure out in this age of information, with computers and the internet, and as like people are starting to get more open-minded, just because you're going to stumble upon other viewpoints on, all the social media platforms and the internet and all that. You're going to stumble upon it in some way, and whether you accept at least listening to it and giving it an ear and moving on and saying, no, that's not even something I want to give my time to. I think people, as we get more and more integrated with connectivity and information, will be able to make their own decisions more. And I think that will lead in return to more, movements and parties. I mean, we're already kind of seeing that, materialize already.
Definitely been an interesting year, 2020.
I know, and that's why I loved it, because it's been so. It's a year I'm going to remember. Like, there's so many years in this last decade in the 2010s that I just don't even remember. Like
you don't remember the specifics of it.
Like I only remember like nights people bring them up to me, and I probably know memories from 2013, but I don't even know they're in 2013. They're just kind of in that.
Yeah, it's just
that freshman sophomore year of high school, which. Man, now that we're talking about
those are the days.
Those were the days
when life was simple.
I know, and it's crazy. Like, I haven't been to Moeller in forever.
Yeah, our high school.
I haven't been in forever. It's been probably 7 years since I've actually been in there.
Yeah,
so I bet it looks complete.
It's been a while.
Yeah, I think they've been doing a lot of renovations.
Yeah, I haven't been in there since.
Shout out to Moeller.
Yeah, I don't think I've been in there since I was a freshman in college. So
yeah. I want to go there and go up to the field and just run a 110. A 110. I'll run 16 of them.
Our
like the old days.
I remember over the summer there was a night, I think, or maybe it was last year. We had gone out. Yeah, it had to be last year if we had gone out, and people were making their way back in the morning, and they were driving by Moeller, and they were just like, we're going to go run a 110. And it was, apparently I wasn't there for it, but I heard it was an awful decision. And
yeah,
quickly,
especially like after
quickly
a night
went
out.
south, and people were over the trash can.
Oh, just like, yeah. That would be the worst thing, because we'd all like be at someone's house drinking like the night before, then show up to football practice just hungover and have to run all these sprints, and the coaches would know we were all just up to no good the night before, like, and they're like, keep running, and then the kids, we're hovering over bending over on our knees, and like, the kids, you could tell who were the kids that went out and who were the kids that stayed in, and the kids that stayed in were just had the hands on the hips, but the kids that went out were hands on the knees,
dying.
hovering over the trash can, dry heaving. Yeah, we were so irresponsible with that stuff, but that was what made it fun. I loved the culture of it.
The thing is,
The camaraderie.
when you're 18 years old, you can just do that.
Right.
When you're 23, like I go out at night now, I wake up and I've got a hangover for 2 days. So.
yeah, I'm out of shape, man.
The thing is, when you're
I'm
18 years
up.
old, you can drink and then wake up and run 16 110-yard sprints,
Right.
and then go lift, and then you're just fine. You might not feel great, but by the time you're done with that workout, you're just like, all right, like time to attack the day. Nowadays, I get hungover and I'm like, I don't know if I can do anything today.
A lot of it is because of the tolerance. Like, my tolerance, is a lot more.
Yeah, built up a little bit of a tolerance.
Over
the past 4 years in
younger.
college.
Yeah, when I was younger than I do now. Like, now I don't drink as much, so I don't have a tolerance like I used to. So like, I don't know. I haven't been hammering it down as much, and like when I drink, I get hungover because I don't have that tolerance. And a lot. I mean, a lot of it is sugar as well. I do a lot of tequila. I'm a big tequila guy.
Is there a lot of tequila and sugar?
Yeah. Margaritas and stuff, but
Okay.
also just shots.
Yeah. I've been sticking to the vodka sodas recently.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the low calorie.
You're just like your
low
father.
sugar.
You're just like your father with
Yeah.
that one.
I like a little fruit in mine, a little lime.
Shout out Lieutenant Dan. Check him out on the news. He's doing big things. But yeah, I like vodka. Vodka Sprite is usually a good one.
Yeah, I don't like the sweetness of the Sprite. That's why I like the soda.
Sprite's not even that sweet though.
I know, but
Yeah.
I like it.
You don't like any sweetness at all?
No, I mean, I'll squeeze a lime, but that'll be about it.
Yeah.
I have been drinking a bit more sweeter because I've been drinking gin and tonics recently.
Oh,
I've been getting on the G&T grind.
I like gin and lemonade, Bombay and lemonade.
Really?
I used to drink that. I drank a whole bottle of Bombay freshman year and lemonade. And
How'd that night go for you?
Because I got home from class earlier in the day, and so I got home at like, I don't know, 12:30, and just was hanging out, like finishing some homework, and then like 3 or 4 rolled around. I started drinking, and David and Cooper, David, friend of the show, he's been on here. They came back from their classes because they had classes later in the day, and they got back. And by the time they got back, I was already like 75% done with the bottle, just like because I was drinking and watching the Muppets movie that was on TV. And so that was my afternoon. And then we were going to go to the Ray Shremmerd concert.
I haven't heard any Ray Shremmerd in a few years.
Me neither. I think they broke up. Ray Shremmerd.
So now, what were their names? It was
Slim Jimmy and Sway Lee.
Yeah,
I saw them in Mexico last year. They were really fun. I've seen them a couple times, but I missed that concert.
They did
the concert I was talking about.
They did a free concert in Columbia when I was, I think, a freshman.
Yeah,
because that was right when
I think they did one for Ohio State. That was the one I was supposed to go to, but I had a little too much Bombay and accidentally vomited on my roommate's sheets.
I love that.
Yikes! I'm way more disciplined now. Don't worry, people.
Glad to hear, T.
But yeah, that was the last time I had gin in a while. But I might pick that back up.
Yeah,
and do a little gin and tonics.
The gin and tonics, yeah, they're good. You don't feel like you're drinking a Sprite, like mixed with vodka. It feels a little bit lighter than that, but also there's a little bit of sweetness, a little bit more flavor than a vodka soda.
Yeah,
which makes it. When you go a month and all you've been drinking is vodka sodas, eventually you just need to change it up and add some more flavors. So that's when I've had too many vodka sodas and I've gotten tired of the taste, that's when I move on to G&Ts.
Yeah.
But I tried to stay off the beer recently just because I'll drink like 6 or 7 beers, and then all of a sudden I just feel fat. It's not even like
bloated.
It's
hard to move around.
All I've been doing is drinking liquids, but you feel like you've eaten 2 hamburgers. So I've been trying to stay off the beer.
Yeah, I agree. It definitely like kind of, it feels like there's a big like sack of liquid in your body, like, and it doesn't make your stomach.
It doesn't make you feel good and
no. And then like as you move around, you can almost like feel the liquid like swing in your body, almost like you're shaking the bottle, kind of like as you're moving, and like I know what you're saying. It's that it I can only take like 2 or 3 beers, before it starts getting to me, and I have to be like on an empty stomach. Mm-hmm. It's hard for me to drink after I eat dinner. I can't drink. That's why I've been like struggling when I go out. I'm like, I have to like time my meals on the weekends, because it's like I gotta eat at this time to give myself enough time to digest it, so that I'll have enough room in my stomach to have a few beers and enjoy myself. So it's like the struggle's real out here, people. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. It's real. We're out here.
Drinking is hard.
Drinking is hard, especially nowadays, because they're gonna slap the lockdown on us. Old Governor DeWine, he's gonna put the clamps down on us here.
That'd be really unfortunate. It's gonna. I mean, I feel like it's been so long. I don't even remember what staying out till
2 a.m.
2 or 3 at the bars, and just the nice thing about the lockdowns has kind of been you're not up till 4, because if you'd go out and you'd be up until 2, and then you'd go do something else, you'd end up at someone's house or apartment, and then it'd be 4 a.m. and you're just like, I need to go to bed. Yeah. With these lockdowns, you're starting to drink a little bit earlier if you're going to a restaurant or brewery or, along those lines. Mm-hmm. You're in bed by like midnight. Yeah. It's kind of nice.
It does have its perks. Yeah. And like I've had a lot of time for self-reflection. I think I talked about this last time. Like it's been a kind of cool time, just chill out, watch stuff. But there's not much to watch right now. That's the thing. There's not much to watch.
Do you think in a few months there's going to be a lack of new movies and shows because people can't film right now?
Yeah.
You think that's going to be an issue?
Yeah, I think so.
You follow that a lot more than I do, so I don't really know.
I mean, I think the movie theater situation is going to be the worst part of it, and I talked about this a couple months ago, but I think it's just getting worse and worse. I mean, I heard that they have a corn surplus. I don't know if I talked about this before, but I mean, they have a corn surplus right now because these movie theater companies are not buying the popcorn anymore. So like they're overproducing corn right now, and it's bad for the farmers. So I mean, this goes beyond like just watching movies, but like the whole entertainment industry as a whole is just in the can right now. Yeah. It's been a disaster. Especially for me, as somebody who like I like to review movies on here and stuff, and I have it. That's why with the Halloween stuff, the Hollow Prep and all that, I kind of failed on that. I'll take the L on that one. Sorry, people, for anyone that actually cared about that. I'll do it next year, because I kind of lost track of time, got swallowed up in the elections. Honestly, I was digging really deep into that, but as for and that's why I didn't have a lot of podcast stuff, and I was doing other stuff too. But besides the point, I'm back. We're in the new studio, by the way. I'll talk about that in a minute, but. What was I talking about?
We're talking about popcorn
and movies.
Movie industry.
Right, entertainment industry. I was just saying it's in the can right now, man.
Yeah.
And I mean, January's and February are usually rough times for movies anyway. Mm-hmm. So I think this is going to be an abysmal January and February. And I've been struggling to come up with a top 10 movies and albums list this year, honestly.
I don't think even the music industry, I haven't really heard any good new albums recently either.
Not really. Really.
Not a lot of people have been dropping new projects, and for the people that have been, I just have been very underwhelmed with the music I'm hearing.
Right, me too. Yeah, not a lot. I mean, I'm waiting. I want a new Kanye album, man.
Let's talk
Kanye, because you love Kanye.
As
and I
a
love
diehard Kanye West fan, I'd almost hope that he just stopped making music.
Really?
Just keep it to
because of the gospel music.
It's not the fact that it's gospel music. It's just bad.
Yeah, it's
just awful
right,
music.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, and I had some concerns going into Jesus is King, his most recent album, just because I didn't think Ye was very good. The album that his solo project
I
that
agree.
he had done
It was,
before that.
It was kind of mid.
Underwhelming, I think. The project he did with Kid Cudi, I thought was spectacular.
Right. Kid See Ghost. Yeah, that was great.
Kid See Ghost was amazing. But I had some, and just seeing his state of mind going in his mental health and his mental condition going into Jesus is King, I didn't have a lot of hope for it. And I remember listening to it and like, went exactly how I thought it was going to go.
Yeah, just a lot of choir.
It seemed like he kind of threw it together really fast. And I remember I was watching a video on YouTube. I forget what the name of the guy who made it, but he made a good point. Is when I listen to that, I don't get the feeling that Kanye is totally bought into this gospel music and integrating it into rap. When you think about Chance the Rapper and you think about Coloring Books, it's a very gospel-y album. There's a lot of gospel aspects to that album. And when I'm listening to it, I'm believing all the stuff he's saying about Catholicism and God and with that front, and the aspects that he incorporates, the gospel aspects that he incorporates are done a lot better than I think what Kanye did. And then I just look at what Kanye is doing. It's like, you're just saying, what you're saying isn't hitting with me.
Yeah.
So the writing I didn't think was all that great. Sonically, I didn't think it was that impressive. And there were just a bunch of forgettable songs with bad lyrics and okay production.
And bad singing.
Yeah.
A lot of bad auto-tune singing.
Kanye knows he's a bad singer, and he continues to keep singing.
He's not all the time, though. He's not all the time.
He's got his moments.
Yeah, like I thought some of the stuff on, and I defend 808s and Heartbreaks. I think that's a really solid, electronic pop album. Like that's the thing. It's not a rap album, like, at all. In the slightest. It's a pop album. It's a electronic pop album.
I mean, even Lil Wayne on that album isn't rapping.
No.
Him and Kanye are just seeing who's worse at singing.
Yeah. That is true. But I actually do really like songs on there. But yeah, I agree. Kanye is not the best singer in the world, but he works on some songs. But
yeah, and
more than I think a lot of other rappers do.
Yeah, 808s and Heartbreaks, although I think it's one of his worst projects, it is by far his most influential.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Drake wouldn't exist.
No.
Lil Uzi Vert wouldn't exist.
No.
Even Future.
Yeah,
you could make a case that Future wouldn't exist. All these people that some of the biggest names in hip hop right now would not exist without 808s and Heartbreaks.
He kind of showed that rappers could sing, and be emotional.
Make more pop centric rap albums. So that's by far his most influential album. But to bring it back to new music is, I just look at what I see in the news about Kanye, and it's not giving me hope for making good music. And the snippets I've been hearing haven't been all that great. And if you look at his first 5 albums, he completely changed the rap game
100%.
On each one of those. And you can even make a case for that with Yeezus and maybe even a little bit with The Life of Pablo.
Yeah.
Nobody was making the music that he was making when he released each of his previous albums before Ye and Jesus is King. And now it just seems like every song he's dropping and releasing, they're just not anything different than what you could get from other artists right now.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it is he's trying to push his agenda now more than it is like, making good music like it used to be. Like
his beliefs are definitely all over, which is
great. Fine. Yeah. I don't have a problem with it.
But do it well.
Right.
And he's not.
And yeah, it's almost like he's more focused on his other adventures, that being, clothing and his clothing empire, which
seems like he's been a lot.
And
more
now his
interested.
political career running for president, which honestly, his campaign was not that terrible. Like, okay, Okay, yeah, the $1 million for a baby and all that, sure, okay.
Did he really campaign? Because I was down at school.
Yeah, he had a couple campaign ads.
I was in South Carolina, and he did a campaign event in Charleston.
And he was crying at it. I watched it.
If I was in Charleston, I definitely would have gone.
I would have went so bad. I would have loved it.
And if I had known that it was gonna, because I think I heard about it, and I was like, I can't. The day it was happening, I was like, I can't drive to Charleston right now. This is a little bit too much for even me as a fan. And obviously, he's not going to talk about music there. He's going to talk about politics, and I don't really care to hear much about Kanye West politics. So
yeah, I watched the Charleston rally that he had.
You watched it?
Yeah, I watched it when it came out, and the thing about it was he didn't have a microphone, so you couldn't really hear what he was saying. So he was just screaming, but what you could hear, he was getting really emotional, and I think he raised a good point about fatherless homes and broken families and all that. And I think that's something that is worth looking into.
No, I think Kanye.
I think obviously he puts his whole personal life, ahead of the actual point of the agenda.
And I think he can certainly bring something to the table.
Yeah.
However, I don't think he brings enough to the table to be
president. Be the president. Yeah, fair. I agree. But But yeah, another thing about it was, he just got because he was talking about how him and Kim were planning on aborting their child or whatever, and then they obviously didn't do it, but that was a pretty emotional moment. But it was just kind of this is supposed to be like a political rally, you're supposed to be getting people excited, not wanting to cry, and but he actually had some pretty interesting campaign ads.
Did he have some ads?
Yeah,
I never saw Kanye
Twitter.
2020.
Yeah, he released them on Twitter. 2020 vision, yeah. But honestly, he got votes. People voted for him.
Do you think we're going to see another campaign in 2024?
Yeah, he already said it when he conceded. Which, at this point, he should not have conceded. Kanye should not have conceded. That was his biggest mistake, was conceding. Because if the president's not going to concede, why should Kanye? If we're gonna put this election into question, Kanye should have stuck around, man. It went out there and done some other campaigns. But honestly, I want to see him tour again. That's the thing.
I never saw Kanye West live. I didn't really get into music until I think more when I got to college was when I got into music as much as I am now. And I think when I was a freshman was the Life of Pablo, or the St. Pablo tour, whatever he ended up calling it. And then
he was at the Shot,
and he was coming Columbia. He was coming to Columbia.
Yeah, he went to Columbus,
and he ended up canceling the tour, I believe.
Yeah,
before he made because I think I was gonna go. I'm pretty sure I had tickets to go. But yeah, he ended up canceling the tour before he came,
because he had a bipolar episode up on stage, and
and the last time he had done a tour before that, I think, was 2013. So I was
a
freshman in college, or a freshman in high school. So I probably wasn't going to be making my way to.
He needs to go on tour again.
Yeah, man. I would love. Although I watched the show he did with Cudi.
The cartoon show.
No.
Wasn't he doing an animated show?
Yeah, I think they are doing an animated show, but I mean, I watched they did a performance for Kids See Ghosts.
Oh. That's right. They did it at Tyler Creator's thing.
Yeah, I think it might have been Camp Flognaw.
Camp Flognaw, yeah.
And he just didn't seem to care very much about the performance.
Yeah.
So that if I was in a city and Kanye was performing, I would definitely go, but I wouldn't be just like his music. I wouldn't be expecting much.
No. Yeah, that's a fair point.
Kid Cudi was definitely trying a lot harder, so I don't have too much faith in his next live performances to be all that great. But, if I'm available and it's convenient, I will 100% go as a diehard Kanye West fan.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Because I would love to see him do a greatest hits almost, tour. And maybe he will in the future. I don't know. Probably not. He has too much money.
Just do whatever. I don't for the most part, I'll listen to any Kanye West. Whatever song he wants to play, I'm going to think, because I think
favorite Kanye album.
Definitely My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. I think Graduation is a close second. However, I think that's mostly because of the nostalgia factor. You know, that came out in like 2007. I wasn't
like
very
that.
old, but those were the first songs that those are the first songs that I remember, like Stronger and Good Life and Can't Tell Me Nothing.
Good Morning and all that. Yeah. That's
so
a great album.
Those were absolutely great album. It hasn't aged particularly well.
No, it's a little dated.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of electro and heavy on the synths.
Definitely had like a Daft Punk. Well, he has the Daft Punk sample, but definitely has that kind of like synth production.
So it hasn't aged particularly well, but you know, it's so nostalgic for me that I'll always find it amazing. It's an album I frequently especially on long car rides. I'll just throw Graduation on, and that'll knock out 50 minutes. So that's another one. One that I think
my favorite is Late Registration. That is my favorite.
I think it's
that's my favorite Kanye
fantastic album.
That's my favorite. That's just got from top to bottom.
Yeah, the John Bryan production, unbelievable. It's so funny hearing and like looking back at old videos of them making that album, and John Bryan, this, you know, producer who's he's more of a composer. He's making scores and soundtracks for movies, and seeing him work with a rapper, and there's a moment where there's something he's sitting there and he's like, there's something kind of nice looking at a written piece of music that's titled crack music. Yeah. And he's got people on strings and he's got trumpets in the background. La, 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 la. Looking at this written music, but it's for a track titled crack music.
Yeah, exactly.
But the production is unbelievable.
But that's the thing though, his ambition.
Yeah, that was what
it's something that's unmatched.
That's what Kanye West was doing in the early 2000s and earlier in the 2010s. He was doing stuff that no one else was doing. No one was
doing it.
Nobody else was bringing composers into the booth to make, you know, very specific beats so that he could rap over them.
Right.
I definitely appreciate that album. I think his most underrated album, and it wasn't loved when it was released as much as it is probably now, is Life of Pablo.
Yeah.
I think that has a lot of good replay value.
Because what happened with that is
he redid it.
He released it and then he went back and redid it. And when he redid it,
it
sounded so much better. Because like the first time I heard it when it came out, I was like, this is so choppy and like bizarre.
And that's kind of the music he's releasing now. It's very choppy and bizarre. It doesn't even seem like it's been produced and mastered all that well. But yeah, when he went back and redid it, I think a lot of those songs have a ton of replay value, and it's a very entertaining album, and I think it's very easy to listen to from cover to cover.
Yeah. I agree.
And that's the good thing about Kanye's music is it's so
very cohesive. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so easy to listen from the first song to the last song and not skip anything, which is the way that I like to listen to albums.
And he's one of the few artists that I can like be fine with having an album over an hour long. You know?
Yeah.
Because like he's somebody I'm willing to give an ear to for over an hour.
And I remember when Drake dropped Scorpio, that last full
horrible.
And I saw that it was 25 songs long, and I just
it was a double album.
I just put my hands or my face in my hands, and I was just like, I don't need to listen to Drake talk for 90 minutes.
Yeah,
I don't need, because the man, he can put out a hit. He can't put out 25 hits. No. So by the time you get halfway through the album, you're just like, you just want it to be over.
Right.
And you still have half of it to go.
Right. And the second half is incredibly boring, slow, like R&B, which I wanted R&B, but I wanted Drake to do just straight R&B and pop album. Because I am not.
That's probably when he's at his best.
A lot of people love his rap music. And yeah, I'm the same way.
It's fine.
Yeah,
he has good songs here and there, but
he has good production. He has a good ear for beats. I will say he definitely has a good ear for beats. Yeah, and he has a lot of pricey production, but yeah, he's gone pretty stale in my opinion, and I think it's just kind of he's gotten pretty comfortable with.
He makes a lot of very mediocre music nowadays.
Yeah, I mean he's got a brand now more than anything.
But these long albums that are filled with not great music is not, just a Drake issue. It goes well beyond him. You see this a lot in hip hop now, where these artists are dropping 17-song projects, and I'm like, I only need 3 from like, you don't bring enough to the table to be releasing 17 songs.
But the reason they do it is because more songs, more streams. Yeah. So it's like, let's drop 30 tracks, and I would say probably 3 or 4 of them are actually like really solid, and the rest are just filler. And that's kind of the problem with a lot of new albums that come out. It's just
as an artist, I would just want to have 10 to 12 good songs,
right?
And then they actually be done, and people will go back and re-listen to them more than just going through it once, realizing that most of the songs are not good
and sound the exact same,
and then never listen to 20 of the 24 songs ever again.
Right.
So,
that's the thing with a lot of the Migos projects. I think that's why they haven't released something, which is smart. Just sit back, honestly. Sit back and actually
work on it.
It's
okay. It's okay to not release an album for 2 or 3 years.
Right.
I'd rather it be good than...
That's the thing with the Kendrick Lamar. Everybody's like, Kendrick Lamar needs to drop an album.
No,
blah, 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 blah. And
he takes his time.
Yeah.
And when he drops something, it's amazing.
Right. It's going to be something that...
In between, because he dropped...
You're going to get good bars. You're going to get good flows.
Yeah.
That's just a lock.
Great production.
Just take...
Because if you look at when he released Good Kid, Mad City, I think that was 2012.
Yeah.
And then he didn't release To Pimp a Butterfly until 2015, which, it's okay to take 3 years to release an album. And then look what happened.
Builds hype.
In my opinion, he dropped the greatest rap album of all time with To Pimp a Butterfly.
Yeah.
And damn, people love that album too. And it took him 3 years in between that and To Pimp a Butterfly.
Yeah.
So
I think To Pimp a Butterfly is really good. I like the jazz production on there.
Yeah, the soul, funk.
It's definitely got a good message. Yeah, I like it. It's a good project. But I don't think it's not my personal favorite of Kendrick's. It just doesn't have enough songs that really like bring me in for. It's not very listenable in my opinion.
I think
personally,
it's a project.
I'm in the minority. A lot of people love it.
It's a project that you need to listen from the first song to the last song. You can't skip any
especially
songs.
with the poem that he reads throughout the album too. Yeah, that kind of helps put it all together.
Put the story together. But there's another good podcast called Dissect.
Yeah, I've listened to that before.
The first album he did on that podcast was To Pimp a Butterfly. And if you listen to that, the intricacies of his lyrics are so impressive that even after listening to that each line has means 2 or 3 different things all at once.
And they all make sense.
Yeah, and they all make sense, and the rhyme schemes are good, and he's referencing his old projects like Good Kid, Mad City and Section 80. He ties a lot of stuff together in a way that I don't think other rappers are doing.
Yeah. I would say
at least
Good
mainstream
Kid, Mad
rappers.
City. Yeah.
There's a lot of underground guys and not as popular people.
And he has a good balance of radio hits and, in the introspective deep cuts on there. Like he's got on that out, like Good Kid, Mad City, he had, swimming pools and the Mad City and the
Poetic Justice.
Yeah, Poetic Justice, which were radio songs that also, were dense, really well produced songs.
But
and
then he's also got
on To Pimp a Butterfly, he had All Right and
King Kunta.
Yeah, King Kunta and a couple of those other ones. So that had ones, and even Damn, he had
Damn had
the
a ton
Rihanna,
of
he had the Rihanna
hits,
one and the
Love.
DNA and Love,
Humble.
So he's got the good mix there. So
but then you also look,
he's
got like on Good Kid, Mad City, he's also got the deep cuts like The Art of Peer Pressure, Sing About Me, I'm Dying of Thirst.
Yeah.
Good Kid, Mad City's got
Money Trees, which is one of my favorites.
No,
Love
that J-Rock verse is
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
But then, like with Good Kid, Mad City, you've got How Much a Dollar Cost and some other, like Mortal Man, some other really deep songs. And Damn's a little bit different. And I honestly think it's because if you listen to it, Kendrick is probably just very depressed while he was making that album.
Very frustrated with the world, that's for sure.
So the deep cuts on that album are a little bit different than the other two. However, it does contain probably the best story he ever told, which is on Duckworth.
Yeah.
Telling about how the guy who signed him almost killed his dad.
Yeah.
In the 80s.
In the restaurant or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was crazy.
And now they're all boys.
Hot dog, right? Yeah, that was a crazy, But Kendrick's, he's good. And we'll
all-timer.
All-timer for sure.
Yeah.
And he's got a lot of dense work.
And he's still got he's still got some good years left. He's definitely not out of his prime.
Yeah, he's just cashing in right now. Getting that, I think he's got a lot of these rappers are getting sneaker deals, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I think he's got like a Adidas deal or something.
Yeah, I think Pusha T had an Adidas or.
It all started with Kanye. It all started with
Kanye.
He's a trailblazer, bro. Say what you want about him. He's definitely he's always pushing the envelope. Though that's what I love about him.
Yeah,
he's always pushing the envelope, and I think, the problem I think with a lot of it is people take everything everybody says as, fact.
Yeah.
And if somebody's wrong about something, that doesn't mean they're wrong about everything else,
Yeah.
Like I could be wrong about one, topic in particular, but that doesn't mean that I'm wrong about every single thing else. So like Kanye is like such a mixed bag. You get like,
and it's
you'll
okay.
get three great points, and then you'll get one that you're just like, what the hell? Like, what is he saying? So like, there's a lot of people like that, I think. But those are the kind of people that everybody gravitates towards because they want to hear like, what's he going to do next? What's he going to say next? So. And
it's also okay to not listen to people.
Right. It's that exactly. That's my point. Like not everything has to be taken as fact.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm speculating. Sometimes I'm just, looking at circumstantial evidence of something and saying, this is how I think it could be, but that doesn't mean it is. And that doesn't mean that I, believe that it is, like, so
definitely like I look at Kanye and a lot of stuff he says. I'm like, well, he's a musician and fashion designer. Not the guy I'm going to for politics. So he can say whatever he wants. That's fine. But I'm just not going to listen, and that's okay. And people are freaking out about the stuff he's saying. Like,
and I think it goes beyond just like Kanye, but like public figures in general, like that have, whether it be politicians or, comedians or, rappers, producers, anybody in public, any public figure, has that kind of polarizing effect, because like not everything you say is going to be right. And I mean, it's really anybody in general, not even just public. I mean, it's kind of like not a general people thing, like not everything everybody's going to say is fact. And not everybody says things that they believe, like you may say something and you don't even necessarily believe it. You may like, but people could take it out of context, like I may make, and that's the thing with the podcast is like, I struggle to like try and trip over my words sometimes because I'm like processing in my head how somebody could take something I say out of context, like cut the clip here. Like, I could be quoting somebody and say like, Joe says he hates horses, but then they cut out the part where they cut out Joe, or Joe says I hate horses, and then they would cut out the part where they cut out the Joe part, and then it just says me saying I hate horses, and then all the horse people think I hate horses, when I really don't. I'm saying that somebody else does. I'm quoting somebody, so like that's the thing you got to struggle with. That's the kind of struggle that you have with talking on the microphone all the time. But
you're gonna say stuff and it gets recorded, and
but
then it's
I honestly can stand by anything I say, like, because I trust my intent more than anything else.
And it's also okay to look back and be like, I was wrong in that case.
Right.
My opinion has changed.
That's me.
It's very okay to do that, and a lot of people aren't okay with that.
My opinion is very malleable. I am like, and that's why I love doing this. Is like I love to have that new perspective of like, a new perspective on the world, because like it changes my views and impacts my views. Like every time I have another person sit in that seat, it's going to be, a new experience, I guess. And like, I like the podcast because it's almost like a diary. I can go back, and when I'm dead, my kids can watch this stuff and be like,
see what you were saying when you were 23.
Here's what my father thought when he was a 23-year-old.
Yeah. I don't know if I want my family to be looking back and seeing what I'm saying when I'm 23.
Yeah, Mom, we were going out hard. But how do you like the new studio?
I like it. I mean, I was never in the old one.
Yeah, no, there wasn't an old one. The old one was my porch, but I got a little studio space going.
I was impressed when I walked in here and you were setting everything up.
Yeah,
it's definitely becoming
coming together.
Proper production.
Yeah, it's coming together. We're just moving ahead, and I got more guests, more stuff coming. So
I can't wait to come back on.
Thanks for coming on, though. But you'll definitely be back on.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully soon.
Yeah, and we'll try and get some more people on. Maybe even sometime this week or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But
I'm pretty free.
Yeah,
so got some projects to work on other than that.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on. Anything you want to plug or share or anything?
No, I'm all good.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. Check out me on social media. The Twitters, the YouTubes, the Instagrams. Follow me on all that stuff.
Don't follow me on any.
Also, I have pay attention to my social medias because I'm going to be talking about something big that's coming. I have a big project that's in the works right now. I don't want to talk about it yet, but I'll talk about it to you off air. But yeah, big things coming. So be on the lookout, be on the watch out. Follow my YouTube. I'll have snippets, clips of each, the things we talked about. So that'll come out throughout the week, so you guys can, watch it incrementally if you don't want to watch the whole thing, but you want to watch the whole thing. So, thanks again, Max. And yeah, we'll be seeing you guys in the future. Peace, and let the beat drop.